Did he get the sawmill going?
No.
No?
Parts were supposed to be there at 9 o'clock this morning.
Hmm.
He has to say he wasn't very happy.
Okay, we're live.
Well, no.
Good afternoon. I will call to order the Board of Commissioners meeting dated April 20, 2021, and starting now at 1 p.m. Before we go into the prayer and go into the pledge, I want to relate to everyone that wants to attend by Zoom. You can log into Zoom at www.zoom.us. The intermeeting ID number is 977-6119-6006, or dial either the numbers that we have listed below, 1-312-626-6799, or 1-646-558-8656. And again, enter meeting ID number 977-6119-6006, and then press pound and then pound again. If your line is muted, press *6 to unmute. Thank you. So at this time, we'll have a prayer by myself, and then we'll have the pledge by Commissioner Sarkella. So if we would stand, I will lead our meeting in prayer. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the opportunity and the freedoms that we have here in the United States and Michigan in our county to do public business for the county. We asked this afternoon that the decisions we made, we asked that you would guide and direct us to make good decisions. We also asked, Lord, to be with our state government and our federal government, Lord, that decisions are made, they would look to you for guidance. And again, we thank you for this opportunity. We ask you to guide and direct us through this meeting. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Sarkella, for leading the pledge. Next, Denise, roll call, please.
District 1 Commissioner John Black.
Here.
District 3 Commissioner Bill Sarkella.
Here.
District 4 Commissioner Roger Ballard.
Here.
District 5 Commissioner Joel Wyatt.
Present.
And District 2 Chairman Gary Huberman.
Present. Thank you. Thank you, Denise. Next on our agenda this afternoon is additions, corrections, deletions to agenda. And I want to make note there is one additional amended motion that's going to be part of our agenda today. And that's going to be FA-067-21-A. And I'm going to insert this FA-067-21-A following FA-074-21 on our current agenda. So that is the additions that we'll be modifying our agenda to today. At this time, I'll ask approval for the adoption of our amended.
Chairman, I motion to approve the amended.
Support. It's been moved and seconded to accept our amended agenda today. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is corrections to our minutes from our last meeting last week. I take it that everyone had a chance to review the minutes, and at this time I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes from last week.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. Sorry.
Support.
There's been a motion made to accept the meeting from April 13th and supported. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Minutes of April 13th have been approved. Correspondence, petitions, and introductions. I don't have any today unless anyone has anything they want to bring to the meeting today. Commissioner reports, Mr. Block, we'll start with you today, because I think last week we started that cycle. We'll go.
I have nothing to report today.
Okay, I just want to be brief with mine. I completed my township meetings last week, and again, some of the hot topics have been the commercial cannabis growers, and also the solar issues have been brought forth in most of the meetings, and a little bit later, as I get into our committee reports, I'll tell you what the San Luis County Commission is doing. But the third thing that it's not a big deal, but it's worth noting. In all the townships, the San Luis County Road Commission is attending these meetings, going through what needs to be gravelled and what each township wants to do. And I just want to say, and I can't speak for every district, but in my district, Andrew Palmer has done a great job. I think he's a supervisor there, and he's met with all the townships. But they purchased, I say purchase, I guess it's a brand new machine. They have taken the sides of the roads, and usually in the spring they try to grade some of the sides back up. They have a machine now that brings all that dirt back up. They've crowned the roads up, and it has done a fabulous job. It's probably the best I've ever seen the roads in our district, and maybe they're doing the same in you guys' district. But I want to compliment the San Luis County Road Commission. They're doing a great job on our gravel roads. End of my report.
I have nothing at this time.
Okay.
I have nothing.
Okay. Mr. Wyatt?
I have a letter that I wrote our representatives, senator. I think I shared that with you folks regarding what the Senate bill was passed and it's now in the House. We got a response. I think I shared it back with you. Not sure what their strategy is, but to offer more opportunity for MDHHS to have even greater control and authority over us without having a reason to do so, less of a reason to do so. For example, I don't know if you guys have read it, but it doesn't require a declaration of an epidemic, merely just conditions that can be utilized in such a manner to carry out actions of mitigation, whatever they see fit to do so. And it seemed problematic. I was surprised that they would do so. And they said something akin to they're using it as a manner on which they can get other type of legislation in, but look like a good trade so far.
Well, if I seen the response correctly from State Senator Lauer, he said it probably is not going to pass through Michigan Congress. Is that correct?
Yeah, which what's the tactic involved there to draft such a thing and spend time, energy, and effort, with the idea being that it's unlikely to pass, or that you don't even want it to pass necessarily. I don't quite understand that.
Well, interesting. Thank you for saying the letter, but the response was interesting. I didn't quite get the gist of it either, really. Is that it, Commissioner?
That's all I got.
Okay, thank you very much. Next on our agenda is Administrator's Report. Tara?
We're continuing to work on our infrastructure planning as it relates to the American Rescue Plan funds. We still don't have a lot of guidance, or additional guidance, I should say, on that American Rescue Plan and how that money can be spent. But as of right now, we did meet with the Buildings and Grounds Maintenance Committee, and we reviewed the building infrastructure needs. But we're just in a holding pattern. So we've compiled information. We've gotten input from all of our department officials, and now we're just waiting. So we really don't even have an idea of when that money will be given to the county or provided to the county. So just a lot of things up in the air. But we are ready if we're able to enact any type of infrastructure spending. So that is a good thing.
Well, I think it's a great idea, Tara, that you went ahead, you've been proactive, and at least we're planning for the future.
Yes.
And I think it's noteworthy to say that we might have brought that up in our meeting last week. Mr. Block, myself, Tara, and Christy Bender did meet with U.S. Representative Lisa McLean's people here a couple weeks ago, week and a half ago. And we were hoping to get some guidance, and quite frankly, they apologized to just nothing coming out of the U.S. Senate right now for guidelines and what to do. But again, I commend you, Tara, for going ahead and being proactive and reaching out to everyone to see where the needs could be.
Yep, if anything, we can use it for our budget planning, so it's a good tool that we'll have.
That it?
That's it.
Okay, thank you very much. This time I'll open the floor up to public comments that pertain to our agenda today only. Okay, seeing none, I will move on, and we have a presentation by our Drain Commissioner, Doug Sweet. Welcome to our meeting, Doug.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Good afternoon. I'll go through the 2020 annual drain report. If you guys have any questions, feel free to stop me or ask me at the end. Got a couple pictures of some before and after work we've done in 2020. And the next page is an explanation of the 4 types of accounts we have that we deal with on a daily basis in the drain office. Last year, we had 2 petitions that were filed for 2 county drains. We had 1 board of determination for a drain that said it was done. We had 0 drain lettings. Drain lettings are on petition projects, so next year there could be some drain lettings if these petition projects go through. Beaver trapping and beaver dam removal, we had 7 drains that we worked on last year in 2020. And then we performed maintenance of some sort on 92 drains. Along with that maintenance, we performed spraying of brush or weeds on 29 other additional drains. And then we had 5 drains that we worked on in MDOT's road right of way that they contributed to the cost of the project. If you look at our 801 tab, that is a list of all the drains that have cash in them right now. Near the back of that tab, 801, it's highlighted that we have about a little over $1.7 million of cash on hand sitting in our different drains up there. On the next page, we have a list of 15 drains that we did construction maintenance loans on. The assessed out was a little over 101,000. That 101,000, I believe your portion was just under $13,000 is what you guys paid for that portion. There's a list of those 15 drains of what townships they're in, what the township portion was, and how much the total assessment for that drain for that year was. Our 851 account, those are drains that have a loan against them that we borrowed money for. In 2020, that was 80 drains. And it'll give you a breakdown of what the drains are and the expenses. Here in the back of that tab, it's going to have the 2020 debt service assessments. It'll give you a list of every drain, the number of years it was assessed, and over to the right-hand side, it'll give you the dollar amount of what was assessed, what dollar amount was assessed in 2020. So if you flip to the next page, it'll give you a total of almost $1.8 million we assessed out of those 80 drains. And then that's going to give you a breakdown of every township, what drain was assessed in that township, lands benefited, or the lands in that drainage district. Then it's going to give you the township at large portion. And if you go back almost the end of that tab, it'll figure out to that 1.8 million again. The third account, kind of account we deal with in there is our revolving fund that was set up years ago. Like a revolving fund, there's 75 drains as of the end of 2020 that were in the red in that account that need to be assessed out this year. That 75 drains contributes to $300,000 in the red as of December 31st. And And then our last account we work with is our 804 account. It is set up for our maintenance supervisor. It provides truck, chainsaw, stuff like that. His wages all come out of there. This account has listed all 370-ish drains we work with from the beginning of time since this account was set up. How much each drain has been assessed since this account was set up.
When was the account established? Do you know?
Back when Jim Barman was here.
Okay.
And then if you go to the back page, the second to the last page, the balance as of December 31st, there was just shy of $83,000 in that account.
Doug, you said under tab 804, that's the account.
Maintenance revolving, yep.
And that shows how much in a dollar amount, how much those drains have had work done since 40 years.
This shows how much the maintenance supervisor position, how much time has been built back from him to these drains since this was
Just for that position to these drains over the last roughly
20 years, roughly.
20 years. Okay.
Yep, some of them are pretty small, some of them are bigger drains that have bigger dollar amounts next to them.
And that's how that works. It's all assessed to individual drains. There's no other assessment for that job.
The maintenance supervisor keeps track of his time, his mileage, everything gets booked back to each drain individually. I went through it pretty quick. You guys have any questions? I'd be happy to
The
answer.
only question I had, Doug, is back in, what, 801,
What was that, 801?
801,
Okay.
and you had a list of the 2020 construction maintenance being assessed. I know you did one in Watertown right next door to me. I don't see that one on there, but I was just looking at, I'm going by township here. Maybe it wasn't.
That might have, the work might have been done, but it might not have been assessed yet.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
Okay.
you know, we got the budget we try and stick with, and so if it was getting close or over, then, you know, we could sit on it for a year and assess it all probably this year.
Okay, all right, okay, thank you.
So,
At 802, so this stuff's in the red. How does that end up in the red like that? Is that work that's been done? Just-
work that's been done, yeah.
It just has not been assessed yet.
Yep.
This is just essentially the paperwork catching up.
And that's probably where mine was for the.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
I must say.
Yep, I would assume that's correct anyways.
Okay.
That's the only question I had. Thank you.
Okay, any more questions?
Oh, thank you so much.
All right, thank you guys for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Take care.
Next is no appointments to standing committees. Next county commissioner appointments to boards, commissioners, committees, none. County commissioner chair appointments, none. And next on the agenda is general resolutions, and Commissioner Sartella has a resolution that he's going to present today. And we appreciate you being here to accept that. So, go ahead.
You want to join me or you want to stay sitting? You can sit, it's perfectly
No, I
fine.
sat.
This is a resolution honoring Elaine Olds for years of service. Whereas Elaine Olds has resigned from the Sanilac County Jury Board with 26 years of service. And whereas Elaine began serving on the jury board in 1995 with manual processing and later advancing into mechanized processing of the jury notices. And whereas Elaine has demonstrated her knowledge and understanding of the county jury board process. And whereas Elaine and her husband of 50 years, Lawrence Butch Olds, are the parents of 2 daughters and 2 grandsons. And further, Elaine enjoys her time quilting, making pies, and camping. Now therefore be it resolved that the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners does hereby extend to Elaine Olds its heartfelt appreciation for her commitment to Sanilac County. Be it further resolved that this resolution be spread upon the proceedings of the Sanilac County Board of Commissioners this 20th day of April, 2021. Thank you, Elaine. Want to say anything? No?
No.
Okay. And like Doug, you can leave now if you choose.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Elaine, for all your hard work.
Denise probably has a final paycheck for you on your way out.
I should, I hope it's big. I've got a lot of quilts to do.
And the Board of Commissioners loves cherry. It just.
Oh, you love cherry? Well, I'm not good at cherry. Ask Bill what I'm good at.
Lemon.
Lemon. pie.
Perfect.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Perfect.
man, I love it.
Have a good
You gotta
afternoon.
put your order in or.
Yes, yeah. Yeah, Walt had been here for like 40 years.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking, yeah. All right, next committee reports.
I'll support that resolution.
Oh, yeah, sorry, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Jumped in
Thank
by
you.
that. Any further discussion? Yeah, okay.
Hey,
Anything, no
Commissioner Watt?
discussion, Denise, go ahead.
Commissioner Sarcella,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Wyatt,
Yes.
and Chairman Hindley.
Yes. Motion passed. Thank you very much. Thank you for that reminder. Next up is committee reports. And Commissioner White, we'll start here.
All right.
On this one.
So the broadband committee met yesterday. As you're well aware, we've been meeting on a semi-regular basis, conducting the survey that took quite some time. The results of the survey were compiled and tabulated and was given to us yesterday in a report. I can forward you an email if you're interested in looking at it. It's not that exciting. To summarize it, it says that Sanilac County is similar to other rural counties in the state and actually in the nation in terms of availability of internet speeds and the types of internet that our county residents and businesses access. So for example, some might be fixed. That would be for like a fiber optic network pushed to their business or home. Some might be mobile or cellular, like through their cell phone or hotspot or thing like that. And others might be Wi-Fi as distributed by the local municipality should they have something like that. By and large, we fit right on average with most of the rest of the groups in the survey. When we started this broadband committee, there was nothing on the horizon that we were aware of that might help facilitate Sanilac County moving forward in developing a strong, solid broadband that can support the speeds and the reliability that we can see is going to be necessary. Since then, the Rural Development Opportunity Fund, which is managed by the federal government, has pushed billions of dollars into infrastructure projects specifically for internet. And the manner in which they did it was they had an auction. So they divide the states up or the geographic areas up, and they auction off for internet service providers to push or to develop internet service, broadband service in those areas. And they'll get, they get paid out of this fund. And they've got some very specific speeds set up, so they're taking advantage of the idea being that in 20 years they'll still be good, right? And most of it's all fiber. And the thing with fiber optic is that when they run those cables down, they only use a small percentage at this time. The rest of it's called dark fiber. That's unused fiber that currently isn't being utilized, with the idea being that it can be utilized further on down the road as the need for data bandwidth increases. So this RDOF auction occurred. There were 3 large organizations that bid up most of the Sanilac County, Huron, Tuscola area. So for Sanilac County, we've got 3 different companies involved, and they've got a time frame in which to complete this. I think the 3 companies are Thumb Electric, a company called AEG, and a Mercury. Thumb Electric, you're aware, has already been in the paper that they're moving ahead, and they have, instead of stringing it out for the 6 years that they have under the RDOF auction requirements, they're going to have it done in 4 years. But Thumb Electric has an advantage the others don't, in that they already supply their customers utilizing utility poles in which they can hang their product on, as opposed to the rest of them will be pushing underground. It's interesting to note that they too could take advantage of hanging fiber rather than pushing it. But one of the considerations is the extreme cost that the utility companies owning those utility poles are charging them in rent. It's almost like they don't want them doing that. It's also interesting to see how Thumb Electric, as an electric provider, is interested in jumping in the game, but DTE and consumers has no interest whatsoever, even though they have the infrastructure in terms of utility poles and a solid customer database or to pull from. So for the rest of those companies, they'll be pulling fiber through the ground. They've got 6 years to do so. So the summarization is that Sanilac County will have probably 95% of its area covered in good, solid internet within the next 6 years. They're doing another RDOF auction in the next 12 to 16 months to finish off the little pieces of property and the areas that weren't covered because they had various reasons why these companies didn't bid on it. It could be the location, the difficulty in topography at reaching that, whatever, or it could also be that they're already serviced relatively well as it stands now. But from the survey and the results we got from the RDOF results, it looks like, within 6 years, most of Sanilac County should be covered. So we're going to have another meeting coming up because we talked about the possibility of utilizing this, was it Revive America, what's it called?
The American Rescue Plan?
American Rescue Plan funding to help facilitate that. Nobody seemed interested in using that necessarily. We did get an email from, I think, Air Advantage maybe. It said they could be interested in a project that they have going on in Melvin coming up. That would be connected with Air Advantage. Yeah, they've got a project going on in Melvin to supply the city of, or the village rather, of Melvin with direct fiber to the houses that they thought perhaps we could help them out with. So that's all I got about that.
So you had mentioned about Argos was concerned about Thumb Electric charging them rent for poles. Was that a comment?
Well, no, it was actually from the conversation we had with the ISP's represented at the broadband committee. They said one of the reasons why they choose to put it through the ground, one of them is that it's more stable, less likely to be impacted and damaged. Their business model doesn't have them doing multiple repairs for trees down on wires and stuff like that. So thus they want their stuff underground. But also there's an exorbitant cost to renting the space on the utility poles to put their product on. And Thumb Electric has the advantage that they own that already, right? They already own those utility poles, so they're not charging themselves anything.
Well, that's a question.
Yeah.
And there's already been discussion by landowners about this process.
Yeah.
Number one, those poles supposedly are owned by TFC, but if a pole goes down in your property, they charge you up to $2,500 to set a new pole. Not them. They don't take the hit for it.
Mhm.
And if the landowner refuses to pay for it, they go to the landowner's insurance company. The second issue is if the landowners are replacing them poles at anywhere from $1,500 to $2,500 a hit, the landowners say, well, okay, so they're going to use our poles to run these wires, and so who pays for that? Because what if the landowner is saying, what if we already have internet through Dish? Is Thumb Electric going to add that charge to the landowner? Those are things that need to be.
Well, I think you're right.
Because there is some pushback against what Thumb Electric is doing.
I would guess that the poles that we're talking about bringing the transmission of the cable down the road are different than the ones that are in someone's yard where they're responsible for.
I'm talking about both.
You're talking about down?
Yeah, because they're going to run through farms.
Yeah.
A farmer may have a half a mile or a mile of poles.
That would be a new event because typically the ones going down the roads that are not if we just talk about power, we're talking about a transformer. You have a pole in your property after the transformer on the drop to the house, usually that's your responsibility to pay for and to maintain to whatever degree it is. Depends on who the provider is, but the ones that get to the transformer are usually completely theirs. But maybe there's something in the language with this additional use of those utility poles that transfers responsibility to the homeowner. I'm not aware of that.
That's a couple of questions I've heard in my district with people at home electric. Are they gonna be charged, extra money that month for, these lines to be run through on top of
Honestly,
the electric bill?
I don't know what the parameters of that hard-off auction and the subsequent contract that facilitates that kind of infrastructure, whether or not they have limits on what they can charge customers or not. There may be some language in there. Honestly, Gary, I have.
No, and I didn't expect to have the answer. I'm just letting you know there's been some concerns from people in my area over that,
Mostly what we came away with was the reason why this committee got started in the first place was to see what we can do to help facilitate in the near future bringing broadband in. The RDOF auctions has, in a sense, done that on a broad scale using federal funds. And, the addition of the funding from, Make America Great Again, or what's it called?
American Rescue Plan.
American Rescue Plan.
Same thing.
It was just a new thing that just came out at the last minute here, it seems like. But for the most part, it looks like we're on the path that we had hoped, and it came from an area that we hadn't planned on or intended on. One of the discussions we talked about after was about the fact that if indeed Sanilac County had fiber optic networking brought to every home and every business, that would have a tremendous impact on our economy in the fact that you would have businesses and people wanting to locate here for that purpose. It would be a worthwhile endeavor on our part to try to facilitate that as quickly as possible, because it would have a dramatic impact. I think you would see that in this area that we have so much going for us in terms of the lakeshore camping and the rest. If you could support broadband to the extent that people can conduct business from home, it's going to make it worthwhile for people to consider living here, which is not what typically is happening that we're seeing happening.
Do you think that there's anything we can do as a county to help facilitate this? Because it sounds to me like this has been auctioned off and these companies are now going to be going after this.
So there was a couple discussions. One of the I think it was the Comcast guy talked about how in Washtenaw County, the county contracted for an organization to come through and identify what broadband services were provided in each specific parcel in the entire county. And so they incorporated that in their GIS overlay so that with just a couple clicks of your mouse, you could see what that parcel had, the availability for this parcel and this parcel. And that data gave them concrete information of knowing where they needed to improve specifically. And so until you get fiber essentially pushed everywhere, that kind of information could be useful for us to identify the areas not covered by RDOF, for example. There might be another way in which we could do such a thing, and then we could address those specific areas. Between now and 6 years from now, most of the heavy lifting is going to be done by those three companies under the RDOF. But after which, it may be useful to be able to pick up the pieces that weren't picked up for whatever reason and assist in that way. Anything that we would do right now in terms of funding, whether it was through some other grant or cooperation between ourselves and some grant provider, or just directly contributing, would perhaps possibly facilitate getting that infrastructure in sooner, before the 6 years mark. Is that something that we want to take funding away from somewhere else that could be utilized to a greater gain and benefit in the immediate and long-term future? I don't know.
Interesting.
It's kind of good news though, right? I mean,
Yeah.
within 6 years, 95% of county residents have the potential to have.
It really is.
And that's going to be considered high-speed internet?
Yeah, Gary, that will be reflective of fiber pushed to their homes.
Mhm.
Now, the manner in which it's pushed, whether it's underground and then it's, run up and then strung to their home, or it's pushed underground to their home, I don't know. But it's.
Well, it's a great step forward, it really is.
Yeah, it costs roughly $25,000 to $30,000 per mile to pull fiber. It's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
You know, we did discuss over the course of the last few months, you know, what would it take for us to have an initiative to actually just undertake that ourselves? And of course, you can imagine it would be quite expensive. One of the spitballing ideas was, you know, we've got a road commission that is required to maintain the road ditches by Public Act 51. That's their job. They have to do that. Maybe there could be a way to incorporate the maintenance of the road ditches with the laying of fiber underneath, you know, the belly of that ditch where it doesn't require trenching as deep. There might be some cost savings there because the cost of laying fiber is mostly in the labor of pulling it through.
Well, I will say this, Commissioner White, your committee is made up of some very solid people, very knowledgeable, so I can only assume that they're doing the right thing and moving us forward.
We're going to have another meeting by June 1st around that time to determine whether or not we're going to continue going forward with anything. The survey that we've been waiting all this time gave us a set of information and data, but honestly, the solution is there in the RDOF auction and the commitment on those three companies to move forward. All that'll happen is just those little pockets and areas that, for whatever reason, the providers didn't want to bid on because of the difficulty maybe to bring it there.
I would think possibly the sparse population might
I think
be
that
a
might be it
factor
too. Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
at the cost of it.
Yeah, they constantly mention the return on investment. That's why Air Advantage and some of the other companies didn't get into the RDOF auction. It's because it doesn't fit their business model, which is totally fine. They want to make sure that whatever they push forward, they can pay for, and that makes sense.
Thank you, Commissioner. Roger?
Just a couple things. We did get the food truck applications up, posted on the county website, sanilacounty.net. If people go to the department tabs and click on parks, it'll pop up there and they can print them off. And it's also on the sanilacountyparks.com website. And we're taking applications. I'm hoping to get on the radio sometime in the next week.
Have you gotten any applications, Roger?
Not yet.
Okay.
No. And then we did get our job study results back the 17th, whatever day that was, Saturday, I guess I got that email. So our parks personnel meeting will be meeting Friday to discuss that. We'll move forward with that. That's it.
So Roger, one quick question. I just want to highlight it. You and I already talked about it. These food trucks and food services, they're not going to compete with your store.
Correct.
Parks, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Sorry about I got a fiddle.
I just want to
I had
highlight that. So
a cataract removed yesterday and my eyes are driving me nuts today. I'll be happy to get the second one done.
yeah, yeah. Mr. Sarkella.
So building grounds met today, as was mentioned, and laid out a really solid plan, a lot of assistance from the department heads. It's kind of a wish list, but they also have some very concrete ideas on things to benefit our infrastructure. And relating to the MAC, the Michigan Association of Counties, there's their virtual conferences next week. I don't know if anybody else has signed up for it, but I did because there were some things that they had going on that were attractive to us, particularly the ARP guidelines. They have a presentation on that, so I'm hoping it's going to be better than what we've seen so far. Everybody has information, but it's not really any information yet as to how those dollars are going to be utilized and when they're going to be coming. So that's next week. One of the things that if you've looked at any of your MAC updates as well, is they are discussing the 4-year commissioner terms. And if this board is interested in supporting that, then they're looking at possibly suggesting that we put out a resolution as such. So that could be something we can discuss moving forward. And then those of you that love to attend the District 7 meetings, I believe one of those is tomorrow, but I haven't seen anything on it, so I'm sure an email came, but I'm under the understanding that Deanna Bosworth is going to be making a presentation. So it might not be the typical good old boy discussion that you can leave the room and come back for a while and they're still on the same topic, okay? So, because Joel knows what I'm talking about. And, yeah, that's all I have.
All right. I'll just be very short with Mike Lee report. The Summit County Planning Commission Committee met last week, and we've been working on looking into changing a number of our policies and what's the other word I'm looking for?
Master plan.
Master plan, thank you. And there was a letter that was put out, an update put out here, I don't know, a month ago. So I did take that to all of my townships, and obviously we all know that the city, the county planning commission is not jurisdiction over townships, but some of the policies and things we're going to be looking at, we're going to be changing, obviously the cannabis, the solar, which townships are already working on. But we did make contact with Lisa, I believe it was Lisa Kenny at our meeting last week, and she's going to come into our next meeting, take a look at some of the things that we need to change or could change. And she's worked on this before. She's worked with the state. So we're moving forward with that. And I believe you sent that update out from our planning committee. So if you want to say any more about that, that's fine.
You and Commissioner Sarkella pretty well covered the meetings that we had.
Sure.
So.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Moving on in our agenda, new business, and we will start with FA 072-21. And that is approval of current claims by the Board of Commissioners.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for 2021 identified on the accounts payable report dated April 13th, 2021 for the general bank account in the amount of $224,835.41.
There's been a motion made for FA 072-21 and supported. Any further discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same, motion passed. Next is FA 073-21, budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following amendments and establishes the following account as listed.
I'll entertain a support for that. Support. There's been a motion made and support. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is FA 074-21, approval of additional general fund bank account checks charged to March 2021.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of additional general fund bank account checks charged to March 2021 as follows.
The list is below. I'll entertain a support.
Support.
Okay, it's been moved and supported for FA 074-21. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next, we have the additional amended motion, and there's been some changes made for this. And just before Commissioner Block read this to us, they've had a hard time with getting the flags and the markers because of the COVID. And I know I think this is the third rendition we've had to do, but there's a legitimate reason, and because they can't keep up with the orders, and because of COVID, and because of health. So this is the purpose of this amendment today. Jim?
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the Veterans Affairs Director to purchase 39 flags from New England Flag Manufacturing Company at a cost of $5,265, and to purchase 345 markers from New England Flag Manufacturing Company at a cost of $1,466.25, for a total cost not to exceed $6,731.25.
Support.
Okay. Any questions?
Shannon, are you on the line?
I'm here.
Hey, how long do you expect these flags to last and the markers to be useful?
The markers can be used for several years. It depends on the breakage and the the color wears off of them. But the flags normally, because of the wind in our area, are in pretty bad shape, so they get replaced every year.
So every year, we're looking at dropping about $4,000 or $3,000 or $4,000 on flags?
The total for the flags is, from New England, is $5,265.
Yeah. And you get
Normally,
any-
obviously, they're not that high, but every company I went to were unable to fulfill it. The companies were closed due to COVID and then only opened up, I guess, from what I'm told, at like 40% capacity. So nobody can get their hands on them. Me getting these I'm lucky to get my hands on the ones I got.
That's for 39 flags, correct?
39 gross.
39 gross,
How many are per?
What is that, 100?
144 per gross.
Oh, that's a.
These are like, what, 12 by 18 flags, aren't they?
12 by 18, yeah. And we have to have the sewed hemmed ones, otherwise they fray and fall apart before the season's even over.
Yeah, like in a month, yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any further questions?
And that's what we're storing in that shed over there, right?
No,
No, that's for the flags around, these are for,
they're for cemeteries.
cemeteries, the flags that George Lasecki and his team are
Right.
storing. That's for flags around the courthouse here.
Where are those stored? The ones that we're talking about here stored?
Oh, they put them up and leave them up.
They're just left there.
Yeah.
They go out before Memorial Day for the year, for the season, whatever.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right, any further questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same, motion passed. Next on our agenda is NFA -010-21, adoption of amendment to credit card use policy. And I'll let John go through this, and I explained to John before, unless any of you opposed, I don't think we need to go through every one of these word by word. They're written out, I assume, and I hope you all had a chance to review them, and all of them have in yellow what was changed in each one, so.
Chairman?
Yeah.
May I speak before you go through that?
Sure.
Well, I just wanted to bring up the fact that, we last month, we added a member to the policy, committee.
Mhm.
Wasn't really contentious to have that discussion. I think it merited, good work done. I mean, the addition of the representative from, I guess you could say the employees. How do you describe yourself? Representative of the elected and appointed officials. I thought it was fantastic. She gave a really good insight as to what people thought about how these policies actually work on the ground level. And it definitely assisted us. And then we did make some minor modifications and changes based on the input that she brought to that committee. And I just wanted to let you know.
Thank you, Joe. And I'm glad it's working out with the additional number. So we're back to, you want to go ahead? Whoops.
The Sonoma County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amendments to the credit card use policy and form as follows.
There's been a motion made and support. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Next is NFA -011-21, adoption of credit card acceptance policy and procedure.
The Sonoma County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the credit card acceptance policy and procedure as follows.
Support.
Okay, there's been a motion made in support for NFA 011-21, adoption of credit card acceptance and policy. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same, motion passed. Next, NFA -012-21, adoptions of amendments to the employee recognition and special events fund usage policy.
The Sonoma County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amendment to the employee recognition policy as follows.
Support.
Okay, then a motion made in support. Further questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next, NFA -013-21, adoption of amendment to the job reclassification policy.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amendment to the job reclassification policy as follows. Support.
There's been a motion made and support for NFA -013-21. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next on our agenda is NFA 014-21, adoption of amendment to the longevity policy.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amendments to the longevity policy as follows.
Support.
There's a motion made and support. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is NFA -015-21, adoption of compensation policy.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the compensation policy as follows.
Support. Okay, the motion made and support. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next, NFA 0-061-21, adoption of amendment to the meal allowance policy.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amendment to the meal policy as follows.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Okay, been a motion made and support. Further discussion, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next on our agenda is NFA -017-21, adoption of amendment to travel /conference policy.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amendment to the travel conference policy as follows.
Support.
There's been motion made and support. Further discussion, comments, questions? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next on our agenda is NFA -018-21, adoption of the new vendor requirement policy.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the new vendor requirements policy as follows.
So there's been a motion made in support. Any further comments, questions?
Sure. The policy number for this one and the next one, we haven't yet determined where that's put in yet.
What was the question, Joel?
The policy number, the new format has a policy number in that upper right.
Yeah, we'll add those in once we determine where to place them, since that one's new.
Further comments or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same. Motion passed. Next is NFA -019-21, adoption of the amendment to the selection procedure.
Support. Oh, I'm sorry. You got to read it. Getting ahead of the game.
Hey, want to get out of here, right?
No.
The Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the amendment to the selection promotion procedure effective April 20th, 2021 to include employees transferred on or after January 1st, 2021 as follows.
Support.
Okay, been a motion made in support. Questions?
I just have one comment. Under open selection, all new hires will begin at the assigned pay grade, step 1. I would have liked to have seen that where there was some leniency, where they could hire and say up to a step 3, just so we're not losing some qualified people that we could possibly in the future. That's just a comment.
I do have a discussion, so we're missing a policy number on that, but this is an existing policy, so that's something we gotta plug in. You'll turn to page 18. I got a question of who are we describing as being the county in the paragraph highlighted on page 18?
County refers to the Board of Commissioners representing the county.
Is that defined anywhere in this policy or elsewhere?
I can look into that.
Well, I only ask because if it's not defined, it seems like it should be defined somewhere of who the county actually is. And if it's the Board of Commissioners or if it's the administrator under the Board of Commissioners, it should spell that out.
You want a specific, whether.
Yeah, I mean, because this is a pretty serious issue here. They're using their sole discretion to determine whether or not an employee is qualified for promotion or transfer. And it's an important distinction for that individual to be able to have that authority, but who is that individual? And the county is just too broad, I think.
Okay.
Well,
I can do that.
I think it's similar to like when you read statutes, there's always a definition section.
Yeah.
That there's no way to have it confused. So maybe we just need to add a small definition section to the county policy. That would resolve the issue, wouldn't it?
We could have it in a definition section, actually at the front of this policy. It could be, these words in this policy are defined as such.
Yeah.
In that case, the meaning of the county I would say, should reflect the administrator controller under, some type of authority as authorized by the Board of Commissioners. So it shouldn't be the Board of Commissioners necessarily reviewing and making determination based on all the evidence they have, but rather they've given her the authority to use that scrupulous analysis to make that decision. But ultimately, we're the ones authorizing that discretion. So what do you think, Tara? What's the best way to write that?
so I have one question you and Joe. What you're saying is a committee or a department head or an elected official can come and make a recommendation that they want to hire that person or whatever. It's up to, we do have the right to say no. I think that's what you're saying.
Correct.
Go ahead, Denise.
When this first came out, Terry and I, we talked about that. This only applies for your appointed departments.
Do what appointment?
I mean, so to say county, it's not a broad spectrum across the entire, because, we're co-employers and this doesn't apply for elected officials' offices.
Okay.
So, I mean, we talked about that because, I thought it was a little bit broad, the way it was written. And it doesn't affect the elected official offices.
Right, and I'd have to, this was already in the policy, so just so everyone's clear, this
Yeah, we
was,
understand.
I just want to make sure you know.
I do, yeah.
But I guess I need to look further into this because I don't know how many of our policies reference the county.
Right.
So it's going to be a little bit of a process. I can't just tell you what the exact definition is based on this policy.
Mm-hmm.
I think it needs to be uniform through all of our policies.
Well, I would
So I need
agree.
to-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rightfully
so-
so to your comment a few minutes ago, you need time to look into that.
Yeah.
But Tara, that's a big undertaking, and for the moment, it would be nice to finish this policy off. So perhaps we can excise the county, the language of the county, and insert Board of Commissioners, right?
Yeah, we could
Because
do that.
ultimately, that's still, we're the ones that say yay or nay, so if we simply say Board of Commissioners, the manner in which it comes to us with a recommendation, whether it be from whoever or the administrator is irrelevant maybe, and in the end, it's the Board of Commissioners, so substitute the county with the Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners.
These policies are all start out Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners policy statement.
Okay.
So that should have some meaning to it.
So what do you mean?
At the top of every policy.
All recommendation, adoption of the Board of Commissioners.
So going back to what Commissioner Black kindly suggested, so should that read the amendment right now that the county reserves the right to its full discretion whether any current employee is qualified for the promotion with definition, excuse me? Is that what you were thinking?
Well, I think there just either needs to be a cover page on top of all our policies that has that definitions like that, or we simply need to change the county to the Board of Commissioners would be the easier.
That way we can move forward with this, and I think it wouldn't be such a bad idea, but there's a lot of policies to wade through to change that information. We are working through, the policy book itself. And so we'll take that into consideration as we move forward and make recommendations accordingly to have a definitions page.
Yeah, we can certainly add those into like a definition section on each of the policies, because I mean, that would help identify who has the authority in situations like this.
But I think for the reasons why we're all agreeing that the county in this meeting does mean the Board of Commissioners ultimately, I think it would be good to substitute the term Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners for the county. It would remain with the same level of integrity that it currently has.
Denise, did you get that?
Mhm.
Okay. All right. We agree, we're ready to move forward
Okay.
for the vote? Okay, any more questions, comments? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same motion passed. Next, NFA -02-21, adoption of cash handling policy.
The Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby adopts the cash handling policy as follows. Support.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion passed. Last, NFA -021-21, acceptance of the 220 annual drain report to by the drain commissioner.
The Sand Lake County Board of Commissioners hereby accepts the 2020 annual drain report as presented.
Has been moved and supported. Any further discussion, comments?
That's quite a report.
It's
A lot of work putting that
A
together.
lot of some good information, yeah. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same, motion passed. Next on our agenda is public comments, and do we have any public comments?
Commissioners, my name is Michael Sage. I'm with DT Energy. And I had an opportunity last week to speak with the chairman about a project that we're doing in your county. And I thought it appropriate to bring it to all of your attention, just so that you know what we're doing. It's tie line 4105, which basically transverses the entire county from north to south. It's about 31.5 miles of reconductoring of that tie line. And that tie line, as the name implies, ties substations together. And so when you look at the reliability issues that you've had in your county, this line has been a culprit for a number of years. Many of the parts of the line are what we call in deep right-of-way, very difficult to get to when we do have problems, which then extends the length of the outage. So it's about 31.5 miles of a project. And we are currently waiting for our permit from the Road Commission on 1 mile. We submitted it back in March and it was revoked. And so we're trying to resolve that issue with the Road Commission and then continue on with the balance of the rest of the project. It'll be divided up into 5 different phases over the years to get it all done. Each phase being about 6 or 7 miles of conductor in each phase.
Solar.
So that's in progress. A lot of the staging is being done already. A lot of the poles and equipment have been purchased, about $1 million worth so far. And we're just anxious to get started. We got pretty good weather here. So hopefully soon we can resolve our pole location and the right-of-way issue with the road commission and get started on the project. And then also, since I've been on the call, I believe it's Commissioner White, you had a report out on the broadband. And I'm curious about some of the things you brought up about DTE, why they're not interested in participating in that. And I'll make a commitment to you that I'll find out and see what the rationale is behind our company not really even bidding or being interested in bidding.
Thank you, Mr. Sage.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate you joining our meeting. Is that it, Denise?
There's no in how that.
All right, next, we have no closed session today and no approved closed session meeting minutes and someone like to adjourn. We'll vote on it.
Move to adjourn.
Support. Okay, then motion made to adjourn and support. Any further questions? Meeting concluded. Thank you.